Elm Logistics for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Can I ask about Jim Corrnette?
Jim Corrnette, he said he was scared to death of me.
He was scared to death of you.
That's what he said.
Okay, how did we get along with Mr. Tennis Racket?
Well, he said I look like a maniac in the ring. That's what I heard him say that on some interview or something. And because they put him in the ring with me one time. I forgot, some kind of gimmick match. You know, if I beat the guy or something, he gets 5 minutes with me in the ring.
Yeah,
Something
okay.
like that. I can't remember all the details, but
Right.
he thought he was going to die, I guess. The way he called, he says, you look like a maniac. But he was all right.
He's okay.
Only one time
Were you protective over the industry, though? Because, again,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, here's Cornette. We talked about it with this Tommy earlier. I guess from what I understand, his mother used to pay people to allow him to, like, get involved in
Way
the
in the
industry.
beginning. Way in the beginning.
How does someone like a Ronnie Garvin accept this outsider into the industry?
Well, I never knew the history.
Okay.
I didn't hang around with a lot of guys. Pick your friends. That's who you hang around. I travel with guys I really like. Rock and Roll Express, man. We practically live in the plane. I had a plane, and when I go north in Ohio and Michigan in the '80s, it was what's his name? I forgot his name now.
Did the boys always jump on your plane like, hey, Ronnie, can I get a flight with you? Or
Oh, as soon as their bookings come out, are you in that town? Oh, yeah. Man, if I would have had all 50 seats, they would have filled it up, I guess.
Now, did you charge them to fly with you?
Yeah, they paid. Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
They paid. What I did is what the cost of my airplane was to operate, and they'd split it between them, and so basically I never, it paid for itself.
You ever try to get Dusty on the plane? You got to drop them off over the
I
Atlantic
didn't have a
Ocean?
plane big enough.
That's great.
I should have got a transport plane.
Pharaoh hates flying, so
I'm
can you
not
tell
a fan. Not a fan.
the many times you've flown, can you maybe share a story where it got a little dicey and you thought maybe
Or some
we're
of the
not
boys
coming
can
home?
tell you some good ones.
Let's hear it.
Some of that I forgot because they always bring it up every time I run into them. The Rock and Roll Express, one time we went through a storm. They were holding each other by their legs in the back. They were like, because we were bouncing and we were going up and down. And
No.
they thought they were going to die, I guess. Another time I made a landing because I lost my electrical. I made a landing and fixed the problem.
Oh, my God.
Then we took off again.
Who was in the plane with you?
Not me.
I forgot.
Well, let me ask you this. Did Rock and Roll Express never fly with you again
they
after
flew
that
with me.
experience?
They flew with me.
They
Right back
flew
to
with
the
you
plane
again.
the next day.
Then it couldn't have been that bad.
They always won. They said, man, you did a hell of a job. I said, well, thank you. Get back in the plane again.
My first and only time bouncing down the runway, I jumped out and kissed the ground and never got on one again.
No
That's
flying
it.
for Pharaoh.
No
Well,
flying.
I flew
for me.
DC-3s for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, cargo. Yeah.
Didn't you ever worry, though?
I had 13 shutdowns engines in 13 years. 33.
How do you get back into a
I got
plane?
in my logbook still.
How do you get back into a plane after having, like you said, once or twice a mechanical issue with confidence? I'd be scared shitless.
You train for it. You got procedures you go through,
Okay.
and you hope for the best and don't screw up.
Well,
it's
a
like
lot
the
of
guy
the
that landed
best.
in Hudson.
A lot
You
of
know.
the planes you fly,
Right,
though,
right,
pretty
yeah.
much handle themselves, right?
Oh no, that was all hand. No,
So you were doing a hand.
well, they were built in 39 and 40 and
Right.
42.
Right.
So let me ask you this, though. So then I hear when you fly, if you become very like discombobulated, it's a big time problem because you don't know if you're going up or down.
Oh, like JFK
That's
Jr.?
somebody.
Disoriented.
I'm instrument rating. If you got an instrument rating, you're trained for that. Well, your instrument will tell you what your airplane, if you're right side up, if you're a new pilot and you go fly and you get into a cloud and you don't have instrument rating, that's what's dangerous.
Sure.
Because you won't know if you're upside down, if you're sideways.
Right.
You got a attitude horizon, and that's how you tells you which side the plane is at. If you're turning, Yeah, I bought my airplane, and about 8 months later, I went and got my instrument rating because I was using it at night, coming back, So without instrument rating, you're just flying. You can fly all day long, which is fine. But if you're going to use it for business, you better get instrument rating. And then I got my commercial, and I got more, and No, what's his name? Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Junior.
That was so stupid. They didn't have to die. He was dumb. Maybe that's why he went 2-3 times to get the test on being a lawyer.
Does his story sound believable to you? Because I still feel that they snubbed him out.
Yeah, it's very believable.
Is it? Interesting.
Yeah. He just was overwhelmed. The airplane was too much for him.
Wow.
Well,
What a
he had the
waste.
money. He could afford the airplane. It was too complicated of an airplane and too fast for him.
For him.
He should have been in something
Damn.
a little bit smaller and, not as fast. Because it's like driving a car. Could we drive around the track at 200 miles an hour? Any of us?
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, airplanes, things happen fast,
There you go.
And
go.
you got to be ahead of the airplane. In this case, the plane was ahead of him. He lost it.
Wow.
Didn't have a clue. Killed his wife and the sister-in-law and himself.
Well, you
Sad.
hear, as I say, you hear this all the time. Once they lose what they're doing, it's
You get
over.
disoriented. Yeah. Because they didn't learn to fly instrument. It takes about 3 months. Yeah, every bit of 3 months. Unless you want to do it every day, you might be able to do it in a couple of weeks. But there's a lot to cram in. There's a test. They take you for a check ride. They block your windshield. You can only see the instrument. You can't see outside. They put a mask, a hood on you, and you only got the instrument right in front of you to simulate. Because when you're in the fog, it's gray. You don't see nothing. So you don't know if you're flying this way, this way.
How come this is not mandatory to take this?
Well, it's mandatory if you fly commercial.
Okay.
No,
but just in general,
And it
though.
should be, it's mandatory for somebody that's got brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
You make it mandatory for you
Right.
to save your life.
So
Right.
what's the bigger rush? Flying your wrestling friends to the next town or wrestling at WrestleMania?
I love flying. That's my love of my life. I miss it till today, this day. I retired in 03. I haven't flown since 03. Still got my license. If I pass my physical, I could fly again, but I don't want to do it.
Right.
But yeah, flying. WrestleMania was great. It was great. I enjoyed it, But the flying, I told my boss when I said, you didn't know this, but I would have taken this job without pay.
That's great.
It was an adventure. We flew cargo that was on demand. It was not a routine. You get called, you're going to Seattle. You get called, you're going to Puerto Rico. You get called, you're going to Miami. In the middle of the night, we flew cargo all over the states, and even I went to South America one time, one trip. I went to Puerto Rico 2 or 3 times on a relief thing. They had a hurricane that went through there, so I was flying hurricane relief. The waters and all kinds of stuff, loads of it. Our company did, and it was an adventure. It was not a routine. If you fly for an airline, I didn't want to fly people. Fly for an airline, you bid on a route every month. Well, they used to be. I don't know if they do that
Right.
still. Well, it gets boring. You're doing the same route, back and forth, back and forth, back. This year was man, and you're free. I'm the captain. It's up to me to keep it safe, fly the plane. It's my decision. We didn't have anybody. The company didn't no decision on them. You know, can you do it? Yes, sir. I never turned a trip down, ever, in 13 years.
But you could definitely hear the passion that you
Yeah.
have
Oh.
for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, forgive me for this, but I heard you mention Puerto Rico, and I just want to know what a legend thinks about here you are. I don't know if he was